Don't trouble the water. I won't get along. Why don't you let it be? Still water run deep. Yes, it do. I know that. Oh, yeah. If you only believe.
I speak tonight for the dignity of man and the destiny of democracy. What happened in Selma is part of a far larger movement which reaches into every section of America. This bill will strike down restrictions to voting in all elections.
Today we celebrate our noble tradition by signing our newest civil rights law, the National Voter Registration Act of 1993.
Today we renew a bill that helped bring a community on the margins into the life of American democracy. I am proud to sign the Voting Rights Act, Reauthorization and Amendments Act of 2006.
Young people are fired up about the 2008 election.
Large numbers of African Americans are turning up at the polls in what could be a historic turnout among the nation's largest minority voting group.
11 o'clock on the East Coast, we can report history.
Barack Obama is projected to be the next president of the United States of America.
As the polls open from the east to the west across this country, the same picture continued to emerge. Eager voters showing up before the polls even opened, and in many cases, lines as far as the eye could see.
This mathematically makes no sense to me.
Some of these
cheating has happened. I don't believe it. I think this is voter fraud.
Several new voting laws recently enacted in the United States.
I think we've got a lack of voter integrity.
That means our voting is not honest in this country.
State after state can't point to a single instance of in-person voter impersonation, not one.
Name it for what it is. It's an attempt to repress minority voting, masquerading as an attempt to end corruption.
It's an ID. Everyone has an ID.
Voter ID, which is going to allow Governor Romney to win the state of Pennsylvania. Done.
We cut Obama by 5%, and I think that probably photo ID had helped a bit in that.
Experts found that African American voters were nearly twice as likely to lack voter ID.
Well, I think Hillary Clinton is about the weakest candidate the Democrats have ever put up, and now we have photo ID, and I think photo ID is going to make a little bit of a difference as well.
These restrictions on voting are a direct response to the election of the nation's first African American president.
We just got new metrics in. Donald J. Trump is the president of the United States elect.
The new Presidential Commission on Election Integrity, established after President Trump, who lost the popular vote, insisted 3 to 5 million people voted illegally.
Again, you don't have any hard physical evidence that this happened.
More than 20 states say they can't or won't comply with this week's request for voter roll data.
The American Civil Liberties Union is launching a 50-state campaign to restore Americans' voting rights.
You know the issues of North Carolina voter ID. The Fourth Circuit issues a decision. They said it was clear that the intent was to target African Americans with, quote, surgical precision.
The history of democracy in this country has never been a simple story of linear progress. We have overcome every moment of backlash, and we will overcome this one and move closer to a democracy in which everyone can participate and be treated equally.
The vote is the most powerful, non-violent tool we have in the democratic society. We must not allow the power of the vote to be neutralized. We must never go back.
1, 2, 3, 4. Voting rights we're fighting for. 5, 6, 7, 8. We cannot afford to wait. In 1865, justice was for some denied. The abolitionists stood bravely to denounce the cry that we the people form the union and deserve to see for every man and woman, black or white, equality. Frederick Douglass, 1865.
I am for the immediate, unconditional, and universal enfranchisement of the black man in every state in the Union. Without it, his liberty is a mockery.
Mary Church Terrell, 1912.
What could be more
absurd than to have one group of human beings who are denied rights working to prevent another group from obtaining those same rights.
Dear Martin, we know that while it's necessary to say no to racial injustice, this must be followed by a positive program of action. The struggle for the right to vote, for economic uplift of the people.
1870, the 15th Amendment gave every man a chance to vote. And now it's 64, and they still trying to keep us away from the ballot. You say, honey, I'm behind you. Well, move. I don't want you back there. I want you to say, honey, I am with you, and we'll go up this freedom road together.
It was more than 100 years ago Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. A century has passed since equality was promised and the Negro is not yet equal. The time for justice has now come. No force can hold it back.
The sad irony of the court's decision today lies in its utter failure to grasp why the Voting Rights Act has proven effective. Throwing out pre-clearance when it has worked to stop discriminatory changes is like throwing away your umbrella in a rainstorm.